Hello and welcome in to the Hail Varsity YouTube channel. I guess normally I would say this is recruiting extraordinaire, or someone else would say this is recruiting extraordinaire Greg Smith. For these purposes, I will be recruiting analyst Greg Smith of Hail Varsity. I am joined by staff writer of Hail Varsity, Steve Marik. Steve, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Greg. Just got some big news today, didn't we?
Yes, we did. And that is what we are here to talk about. Is we got kind of a special edition here of an impromptu video because there's been quarterback news, right? I know it because of the recruiting question video of the week and all of the different things that I do for recruiting stuff, that I've been bombarded with questions about when is Nebraska going to get a quarterback. And it happened today, Friday, January 7th, where Nebraska got, I guess, their first quarterback potentially of the 2022 offseason, when Texas transfer quarterback Casey Thompson announced officially that he will be, transferring to the Huskers. Thompson, if you're unfamiliar, 6'1", 200-pound guy. He's got a couple of years left of eligibility, and he entered his name into the portal after being with Texas for 4 seasons, and where he had some really good productivity, threw for 2,422 yards, and just with 30 touchdowns and just 9 interceptions a year ago. Texas has had some interesting quarterback situations where they brought in Quinn Ewers and others. Like, I think that they're trying to, shoot for the moon. So they're kind of lost in this situation as Nebraska's gain, as they get, I guess, one of the more experienced quarterbacks in the transfer portal, which is exactly what I think the team needed. So I guess we'll start here. Steve, when you saw this news kind of come down and become official, what were the first things that you thought of right when we found out about this?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people kind of wanted some stability, leadership, experience in Nebraska's quarterback room, and that's exactly what Casey Thompson provides you. Like you said, he spent 4 seasons at Texas, and got his chance to be the guy this past season until some injuries kind of hampered him. But yeah, it's a really, really big move for Nebraska, just the experience factor, because right now, before this edition, they didn't really have the experience that you'd kind of feel comfortable with a coach like Scott Frost kind of heading into his year, kind of a make or break year. You want, if you're going to be doing that as a head coach, you want a quarterback that's been there, done that, has a lot of reps under his belt, and that's what Casey Thompson provides. So yeah, it's just a kind of an odd situation there in Austin with Steve Sarkisian, and he's kind of figuring out what quarterback he wants. That you brought in Quinn Ewers, like you said, brought in a really good looking 4-star quarterback in the 2022 class too, and Malik Murphy also. So there's just a lot of stuff happening in Texas's quarterback room. And so that kind of leads, a guy like Casey Thompson wanting his own situation and his own opportunity elsewhere. So
yeah, and I think it's one of those, it seems to me so far, and I have not spoken with either Casey or his dad, Charles, yet, but it seems to me a situation where they wanted somewhere that really believed in them, or believed in Casey and wanted him to be the guy, and saw the value in what he brought to the table. And it's kind of easy to see how you would not feel that way based on how things have gone at Texas, in the way that Casey was productive at Texas. This isn't a potential situation where you're saying, oh, it's all projection and you hope that the guy can come in and he can perform. You've seen him actually put numbers up. Is he a perfect quarterback? No one really is. But you've seen him have production. And I do think that that's really, really important for Nebraska going forward, is that you want to be able to have stability in as many places as you can possibly have it going into this huge 2022 season. And I think that Casey Thompson really provides that, and provides a veteran voice on a team, and especially at the most important position at quarterback, where he can help stabilize some of the other positions that are in flux. And it's interesting because one of the first things that I thought of is what you said about them needing the veteran quarterback. But one of the reasons why that helps is if you're looking at kind of reshaping the wide receiver group, there's a lot of promising players in that group, but you're going to need a steadying force, right? There's a common theme. You're going to reshuffle that offensive line, and you got to figure out what's happening there. It would be really helpful to have a veteran quarterback to help to go along with that. And actually the same thing goes for running back, right? As they kind of figure out what's happening there, and they still don't have a running backs coach as of, recording this right now. So I think that being able to have someone that already has real game reps, and a lot of them, and a lot of experience being around the block, I think that helps so much for Nebraska.
Yeah, absolutely. And just from watching Texas on and off and doing a little bit of research here in the past few weeks on Casey, is he had the benefit of one of the best running backs in the country in Bijan Robinson. He's not going to have that here in Lincoln. And as we all know, as Scott Frost has told us in the post-game press conferences, once you have that running game hitting, everything else down the field opens up so much more. And Casey had that benefit at Texas with Bijan Robinson. And he's not quite going to have that here at Nebraska, but yeah, that's just going to be the interesting thing. It's not always going to be a perfect situation. And I think Casey knows that, his dad knows that, Scott knows that, Mark Whipple knows that. So it's just going to be really interesting to see that quarterback room, how it shakes out. You know, what's Logan Smothers thinking? What's his family thinking right now? It creates what the program and I think the fan base wants in the quarterback room, which is competition. Everybody's going to look at Casey Thompson right now and look at him as the quarterback. But I mean, it might be a little bit too early about that, but we're seeing that. But at the end of the day, if you're a high profile quarterback transfer like Casey is, you're telling yourself, I'm going to be starting here at Nebraska in 2022. So yeah, it's just going to be really interesting. Like you said, you brought up a really good point about the offensive line. Donovan Raiola has a huge, very important job trying to get cobbled together just an offensive line to give Casey some time to look down the field, because he does have he does bring a great deep ball. That is one thing that I really noticed with Casey Thompson, is if he has time and his feet are set, you know, that thing is usually on the money. And that's not really what Adrian Martinez was really good at or had time to do during his time at Nebraska. He never really had time to kind of set his feet. And if he did, he was kind of gun shy and thinking the rush was going to get there when it sometimes maybe wasn't even close to him.
Right.
But yeah, so just a really big addition for the quarterback room at Nebraska.
Now, one other thing that I want to make sure that we kind of discuss here, because I know it's going to come up within the fan base, and I heard it kind of in the lead up to this, and I'm going to pose the question to you this way. Knowing how Nebraska has utilized the quarterback position to help in the run game, i.e. basically be the run game for the last 2 seasons, what does Thompson, in your kind of film study and looking into him previous to this announcement, what's his the use of his legs like? Like, how much has he used his legs, and how successful is he kind of in that area of the game?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And look, he's a capable runner. He's an athletic dude. But to my eyes, he is a pocket passer looking to throw the football first and foremost. Now, is there going to be as many quarterback called runs as Adrian Martinez has for his tenure at Nebraska? I don't think so. I don't think that's really Casey's game. You want him, and I don't think that's really Mark Whipple's kind of style as an offensive coordinator either. Of course, he was very adamant about telling us when he had his media availability that for the first time he wants to create a game plan that fits what he has. He's not going to try to, put that square in a round hole or anything like that. He's really going to look at the pieces that he has and make plays and make a game plan that, helps them be successful. And to me, I don't really think that's calling QB powers, QB runs for a guy like Casey Thompson. I think you want him in the pocket, looking downfield, and like I said, testing out that arm of his, because he has a pretty good arm.
Yeah, absolutely. And I that has been what I've observed too. But I also, and I know that I've said this to you privately, I'll say it here just in case for the record, is I actually like that line of thinking. I like the idea of Nebraska going away from having to be so dependent on the QB run game. It can be a part of it in like scrambles and things like that, where a quarterback can hurt you to get a key first down or something like that. But I just think long term, for Nebraska to have success, the type of success that I think they could potentially have in this offense, I think they have to get much more production out of the traditional running back run game, because I think that would really help open up all sorts of things for the offense, in addition to being able to just make the easier plays, like those completions that have been there time and time again. If they can be hit on a consistent basis, I think that opens things up. There's a number of different ways to go to that, but speaking of that, there will be a number of things and content that we have on hailvarsity.com kind of spinning off of this new news, is there'll be so much to talk about here. We still have more news yet to come potentially. Well, it's not even potentially. We need to know who the running back coach is going to be publicly. There's going to be more incoming transfers to come as well. So make sure you guys keep it locked on hailvarsity.com. Make sure you're subscribing and checking out this YouTube channel, as we'll have more reaction to the big news that happens. Thank you all for watching. And Steve, thanks for hopping on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Greg.